Before we begin, I'd like to introduce formally the new merch store. On DMuted-shop.fourthwall.com, we've got a ton of apparel and items with my characters and designs. It would really mean a lot if you decide to check the store out. Even if you don't want to buy anything physically, there's also an option to leave me a message and donate to me directly. If you're interested, the link is in the description, but let's get on with the video now. In my opinion, there's no bigger character that defines the FNAF fanbase than the main villain of Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, Glitchtrap. The way it pretty much works is you either love or hate the guy, and that's usually an indicator of the type of FNAF fan you are. If you hate him, chances are you prefer the older Scott games. Your favorite's probably either FNAF 1 or 2, and you most likely just see this guy as a bastardization of the series' best antagonist at that point. If you love him, you're probably a fan of the newer games like Security Breach and Ruin, which means you probably pretend to read the books and you are absolutely still involved in things like fan animations and songs. I'm not saying necessarily that either of these camps are right or wrong. After all, these are just opinions. But Glitchtrap is also a character I've bounced between liking and not liking over and over again. And I think now it's time for me to actually figure out my stance on him. Are they a necessary and worthwhile addition to the FNAF canon? Well, let's talk about him, them, it. I'm gonna call Glitchtrap him, but I honestly don't know at this point. Anyway, Glitchtrap first appears in Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, standing far away from the player in the main hub area, and occasionally communicating with them with these distorted cries of hello. The player can't interact with this bunny man at all, but as they collect various tapes throughout the game, they'll probably notice him getting closer and clearer. These audio logs that you can find were left behind by an unnamed character that the community has dubbed Tape Girl, and they can be found through pretty much the entire game. These logs tell us a lot about the creation of the Freddy Fazbear virtual experience, and more so that something happened during the development that changed it. At some point, Fazbear Entertainment had given the developers some circuit boards which they then scanned into the game in order to create the different characters' pathfinding. This didn't end up going well though. At some point, Fazen arrived and in the middle of the night took those circuit boards back, but by then they'd already been scanned and implemented. Suddenly, a beta tester for the game, named Jeremy, started seeing something. He started seeing Glitchtrap and would sometimes spend time sitting by himself and talking with him. The company knew something had to be done, and so they got prepared to fire Jeremy, but that wasn't gonna happen. As Tape Girl recalls, she found him in a dark room by himself with the VR set on his head. In the dark, it looked like he had been covered in ink, and she noticed on the ground beside him an object she described as looking like a Halloween mask. As it turns out, he had used a paper guillotine. It's standard office equipment, sure, so how did he use it? Well, he used it to cut off his own face. Jeremy had died, and when Tape Girl became a beta tester to replace him, she started seeing Glitchtrap as well. However, Tape Girl was smart. She managed to break him up into pieces of code attached to the audio logs. The very same audio logs that you, the player, had been collecting and bringing together. Her message was clear. Keep the audio logs separated in order to keep whatever this virus was trapped. But in her very last tape, she changes her tune. She says that the virus should be destroyed for good. How? Well, by bringing the logs together. Glitchtrap will then attack and try to merge minds with the player character in order to possess them. Tape Girl says that the player should let this process begin, but then flip a switch next to the monitor. This would theoretically destroy it. However, this doesn't happen. Help Wanted has no happy ending. You either merge minds with Glitchtrap or you're stuck behind a door while he taunts you and leaves, presumably in your body. In either ending, you become his prisoner. So that's what Glitchtrap was in his debut game. Admittedly, recapping it makes him seem like a much more interesting threat. However, there's one part I left out that muddies him up fiercely. It's his design. You see, Glitchtrap has the unfortunate disease of being a FNAF character, which means his design is rife with references to old lore. In this case, he's wearing a yellow bunny suit with purple accessories. Yep, Glitchtrap is meant to be the return of our boy William Afton. Kind of. We'll talk about that later. And on the surface, this doesn't seem so bad. William hasn't really had that main villain role in a few games, so why not give him a fresh opportunity in this one? Except that many interpreted this as undoing the powerful, dramatic ending of the last game in the timeline. Second to last, we don't count UCN usually. William had finally arrived alongside his daughter, his son, and his most mangled creation yet. Second most mangled, I guess. And in an act of sacrifice, Michael Afton and Henry Emily burn down the pizza place with themselves and the monsters that have haunted them inside. William is condemned to burn in the darkest pit of hell by Henry and goes up in flames. It was an all too fitting end for the character who had caused so much horror for so many people in his life. It couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. And for most FNAF fans, this was a fitting end to his character. Everyone died in a tragic yet fulfilling ending, putting the company name and the series as a whole to rest. UCN then gave us a chilling epilogue. The big theory surrounding UCN, that seems to be what Scott was going for, was letting us live out William's experience in hell, being taunted by his various creations as he dies over and over and over again. So a lot of FNAF fans then saw Glitchtrap and asked, what in the darkest pit of hell is this thing supposed to be? And I have to say, they were right. What it comes down to is that the last two games were both really about William's defeat and putting an end to the horrors he started. So for Help Wanted to suddenly say he's back seemed to be the most roundabout, poorly written way to keep the series going. It would be like if in Star Wars they didn't know how to continue the story past the 8th movie, so they brought back Palpatine for the 9th. Oh, wait. This little somehow William Afton returned was annoying to fans, straight up aggravating to many others. But even still, there was a lot of ambiguity surrounding this character and the idea of them returning. He was never called out by name, and he didn't exactly behave like the William we once knew. When he spoke, he didn't speak in PJ Haywood's voice. In fact, he didn't have his own voice actor at all. But I mean, this had to be William, right? Just because he's gone back to not talking doesn't necessarily mean this is a new character, right? Well, yes and no. You see, given all the hindsight we have now, I still have no fucking clue what Glitchtrap is supposed to be. Okay, this is the part of the video where I try to explain what we think Glitchtrap is, now that all of the Tales from the Pizzaplex books have been printed and Security Breach Ruin has come out. Meaning, if you're watching this in the future where Glitchtrap actually reveals himself to be the ghost of Henry Emily and also Charlotte and Circus Baby, then this is going to seem really strange and wrong. Okay, so here's what I and many others think Glitchtrap is. Glitchtrap is not William Afton, but it is a program that thinks it's William. You see, the current main antagonist of the FNAF series is a robot known as the Mimic. This Mimic's programming is likely what was uploaded into the Help Wanted game, resulting in Glitchtrap. This would make Glitchtrap's real name Mimic 1. What makes Mimic 1 unique is that it's a string of code designed to take in information, learn it, and then replicate it. So it's possible, and even likely, that when Mimic 1 is thrown into a game all about the sordid history of Fazbear Entertainment, it learns and absorbs all this information, creating an avatar for itself that resembles the man behind everything, William Afton. And what does Glitchtrap do then? Well, it moves into Vanessa's head, creating Vanny. With Vanny's mind being partially corrupted by this Mimic code, she starts replicating Glitchtrap and Afton's mannerisms and personality, and also starts constructing these rooms to resemble certain minigame rooms seen in Help Wanted. It's Glitchtrap who corrupts the Pizzaplex, a string of code that wants to recreate the company's history all over again. With all that being said, I think this makes him a great villain. He's this monstrous reflection of the series' history, who exists only to perpetuate itself and cause others pain and suffering. The problem? This was only ever communicated through clues found in the books. Books that are still openly debated about to this day. Well, shoot. But hey, let's believe for a moment that what I just said is true, and that this is Glitchtrap's true origin. Does this new backstory and explanation repair the problems of his initial appearance? I would argue yes. Looking back on Help Wanted with this new story in mind makes the whole experience feel much more cohesive narratively. Most superfluous Easter eggs or even plot holes can be readily answered with this new origin. By all accounts, this story makes Help Wanted better. However, the problem is that it is a book-only story. If we're only accounting for the games, there's very little reason to believe Glitchtrap is anyone other than William Afton. Sure, more goes unexplained without this story, but a lot of it is relatively minor stuff. Why are there Help Wanted rooms in Security Breach? Why don't you shut up and eat your bagel? The other big thing regarding Glitchtrap not being William is that it kinda goes against the series' norms at that point. Help Wanted is a reboot, sure, but come on, he always does. For it to not be William has gotta be a huge stretch that unfortunately just isn't as readily supported by the games as it is by the books. I mean it when I say if Scott declared these books not canon, that would destroy everything theorists have been building on for years at this point. So where does that leave our glitchy rabbit friend here? Well, if you ask me, I don't think he sucks. In fact, I really like Glitchtrap. not as William, but as Mimic 1. However, if we were to ever find out that Glitchtrap is William, then I would absolutely do a full 180. Glitchtrap as a character has a lot riding on his canonicity. If he's William, then we're back at square one where the story stinks, and we have a lot more unexplained questions and mysteries. If he is Mimic 1 though, then he's by and large one of the best FNAF characters in recent memory. We can appreciate his presence, his appearance, his role in Help Wanted, all while knowing that it's actively contributing to a newer story and not just trying to needlessly resurrect the old one. But because of the state of the franchise currently, both of these answers are equally valid. Sure, we have plenty of evidence that says Glitchtrap is not William Afton, that he's a brand new character who exists to trick the player before the grand reveal of what he actually is. However, every theory when it comes down to it only has a 50-50 chance of being right. It either is or it isn't. It's just as valid to say that Glitchtrap is William as to say he isn't. And where does that leave us? In no man's land. Glitchtrap remains the most mysterious character developed in the Steel Wool era of Five Nights at Freddy's. What he is, what he could be, and what he might be are all very different realities. In the end, doesn't that add to his charm though? The idea that he cannot be explained no matter how hard we may try? Does it matter where he came from, or does it only matter that he's here now, that he's been such a big antagonist for the series? In my opinion, no. Because Help Wanted is a reboot, how it chooses to define its characters shouldn't change how we view the old ones. This is why I'm so adamant in my stance on Baby or Charlie, because it's missing what the point of Help Wanted actually was. It was to look back on the past and open the world up for newer stories. And these new stories might look like the old classics on the outside, but inside it's something wholly new. Does Glitchtrap suck? Not to me. Keep in mind, I still wouldn't call him my favorite character or anything, but I do like him and his story a lot. However, I will say this. If you think Glitchtrap sucks, you are absolutely right. There's plenty of reason to not like him. Maybe you don't like the vagueness in his backstory. Maybe you feel like Steel Wool was actively tricking us. Or maybe you think they're tricking us now by revealing the Mimic. Regardless, there's plenty of reasons on either side of the fence to like or even hate him. So, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, and be sure to check out the merch store, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.